Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our event tonight. Thank you for attending tonight's Asian American Democratic Club 2022 midterm election kickoff event. We had a little bit of a technical snafu earlier, but good thing we have it under control now. My name is Si Chan. We're really honored to have all of you here tonight with us. I am the Director of Strategy at the Asian American Democratic Club, and AADC's vision is educate, enlighten, empower, and enlist Asian Americans into the American political process and civic engagement. As you have seen in the opening slideshow, this group has been active in many previous campaigns and are doing our part in electing people who represent our values and also literally represent us. Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders account for over 6% of the US population, but hold fewer than 1% of the elected office. So tonight's event is aimed at informing more people about the incredible leadership and pipeline we have in our AAPI community. We hope that tonight's program will be motivating and, excuse me a little bit, will be motivating and inspiring for everyone as we enter into the 2022 midterm election season. If you have a question for any of our speakers today, please put it in the chat box. We know all of our guest speakers are very busy, but if their schedules allow, we invite them to stay and hopefully answer questions for us at the end of the program. And also, tonight's program is being recorded, so that we may be able to share it with you hopefully in the future. First, I have the honor of introducing the chair of AADC, Ms. Ling Luo, who is the founder of the Asian American Democratic Club and the Asian American Leadership Council. She is a trailblazer and in organizing, especially among Chinese American communities. She's a board member of the DNC Seniors Leadership Council, the DNC National Finance Committee, and the DNC AAPI Leadership Council. She is a veteran of many campaigns and is a passionate fighter for democracy. She will now officially kick off the event as well as introduce our very important persons this evening.
Thank you, Zee, for hosting this event. And dear Honorable Congresswoman Grace Meng, she is not yet able to attend yet. And the DNC AAPI Chair, Bao Liang Hong, dear distinguished guests, state representatives, and our candidates, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for attending the 2022 AADC midterm election campaign kickoff. My name is Ling Luo, founder and chairwoman of Asian American Democratic Club. I'm honored to host this meeting tonight with AADC leadership team, especially Xu Zhao, Zi Chang, Gawa, and Hong Mei for your dedication and the patience and the persistence working tirelessly to put this meeting together. Thank you. AADC is founded in 2016 during the campaign season for Hillary Clinton. Our vision is educate, enlighten, empower, and enlist AAPI communities in the American civic engagement and the political process. You just watched the video showing the journey of AADC for the past 6 years. We have been actively involved in local, state, and the federal level elections since 2016, with over 20 chapters across the country to elect candidates to represent our values. The year 2016 had changed America significantly. In only 4 years, we have witnessed the destruction to the foundation of American democracy, the damage to the belief system of this country, the trampling on the law and order, and the collapse of our economy under the Donald Trump presidency. We had lived in crisis after crisis, from trade war to mass shootings, from pandemic that has claimed over 1 million American lives to numerous violent attacks to AAPI and the Chinese community. GOP is protecting the interest of gun groups at the cost of our children's lives, claiming the protection of the fetus rights, but taking away women's reproductive rights. The 2020 election was perhaps the most consequential in US history. On January 6th, we saw exactly why. The future of our democracy was on the line. However, the AAPI community answered the call and came together like never before. We volunteered in voter registration, phone banking, postcards writing, text banking, Zoom rally, and canvassing. We are very proud that AADC members formed the Task Force of Chinese Americans for Biden Affinity Group, that is CAFB, and campaigned very hard to elect Joe Biden as our president. With our collective efforts, AAPI voter turnout in 2020 was almost 150% that of 2016, even higher in battleground states. That is nearly 4 times the increase of all other voters. We also helped deliver critical wins in Georgia, where the increase in AAPI turnout was nearly 5 times greater than the margin of victory. Currently, there are 5.5 million Chinese Americans living in America. However, we only have 3 congressional members comparing to other ethnic groups. We are extremely underrepresented. Chinese Americans are the largest group in the AAPI community. We are a significant voting bloc in California and New York, and account for a significant portion of the AAPI community in key battleground states such as Pennsylvania, 27%, Arizona, 20%, Florida, 20%, and Texas, 15% of the AAPI community. According to 2018 Asian American Voter Survey, Chinese Americans were disengaged. Only 20% have contacted their elected officials. 14% have donated to a campaign. 10% have attended a local school board meeting, and 8% have attended a rally or protest. According to the 2020 survey, in the 2020 election, 65% of Indian Americans, 61% of Japanese Americans, and 57% of Korean Americans voted for Biden, but only 50% of Chinese voters voted for Biden and 30% voted for Trump. Chinese Americans agree with the Democratic Party on the many issues and ideals. We want progressive solutions to issues such as immigration, quality education, gun control, economic equality, and access to healthcare. The 2022 election is going to be so close. Our Congress majority is in danger. The Chinese American vote will be decisive in all states in making sure that Democrats win up and down the ballot, and it could be the key to keep the House seats and many other local seats. Therefore, it is important that Chinese Americans to get involved in American political process. I appreciate the AADC chapter leaders and the members entrusted me with the task to lead and organize Asian, especially Chinese Americans, in civic engagement. It's a great honor, also a huge challenge, to have this opportunity to organize the Chinese community to endorse and support our candidates. After campaigning for 4 presidential candidates in 5 races over the past 18 years, I deeply understand how difficult but critical to mobilize Chinese American voters with a matured organizing infrastructure. We will integrate our members from different states into the campaign volunteer basis. We will protect the Democratic leadership in the White House and across the country. We will dedicate our resources to protect our majority in the Congress and the Senate. Members of AADC, let's start to take actions by joining campaigns to do phone banking, text banking, and making donations. Please remember, if you are not at the table, you will be on the plate. I strongly believe with the shared vision, crystal clear goals, and the burning passion from Chinese community, mission is possible. Welcome to join AADC volunteer group and donate to support AADC effort to campaign for our endorsed candidates. Thank you very much for coming to the meeting. Now, I'm so honored to introduce our VIP guests for this evening. They will give our representatives, candidates, and attendees their thoughts on the importance of the midterm election for the Democratic Party and the Asian American community. First, we have our dear friend, Congresswoman Grace Meng. Congresswoman Grace Meng represents New York's 6th Congressional District, located in Queens, New York. She was born and raised in Queens and began her professional career as a public interest lawyer and served in the New York State Assembly before running for Congress. Grace continues to advocate for inclusive policies for often overlooked communities. She serves on the powerful House Appropriations Committees and co-founded the bipartisan Congressional Kids Safety Caucus. And she is a leading voice on food safety, clean water, and consumer protection for families. Congresswoman Meng was elected vice chair of the DNC in 2017, where she advocated for outreach to underrepresented communities and worked with state parties to make sure that all voices are heard by the National Party. She spearheaded the efforts to pass the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, which aims to take action to combat the ongoing bigotry and violence against Asian Americans. President Biden also recently signed her bill, HR 3525, or the Commission to Study the Potential Creation of a National Museum of Asian Pacific American History and Culture Act, into law. Her contributions to our community are immense. AADC is truly honored to have her continued support. Unfortunately, she cannot be here with us tonight because she was just informed that she had to be present for a vote in the House. She was kind enough to record a video for our event today. Now I'm handing this to Z to play Grace Meng's, Congresswoman Grace Meng's video.
Hi everyone, I'm Congresswoman Grace Meng. I'm sorry I could not be with you in person today. We got votes called exactly the same time as the event was happening, but I definitely wanted to pop on, say hello to my friends at AADC. Thank you so much to leaders like Ling, who has been amazing this year and in many past cycles, mobilizing our AAPI community around the country. Thank you so much for all that you do. And shout out to my good friend, our DNC AAPI Caucus Chair, Bell-Yang Hong. Thank you for your friendship and leadership as well. AAPIs, I don't have to tell you, are the fastest growing community in this country. We are growing rapidly, but we have to make sure that our voting participation is growing equally at a fast rate as well. We are wanting to make sure that our communities are voting and we can make the margin of victory. We can make the difference in so many states like Georgia, Texas, Virginia, California, etc. And so we are going to do everything we can to make sure that our communities, our friends across the country understand our democratic values and come out for every election, not just federal ones, but up and down the ballot. And so please know that I'm here as a partner working with all of you, proud of all the great work that you do, and know that we appreciate it. Thanks so much and keep up the great work. See you next time.
We want to thank Congresswoman Meng again for her hard work. Congresswoman Meng, we are so lucky to have you fighting for our rights and standing up for us in Congress. Your dedication and hard work inspire us all, and we know that future generations look to you as their role model. We now have our other VIP guest for the evening, the DNC AAPI Caucus Chair, Bell-Yang Hong. Bell-Yang Hong has an extensive background of political and community activism that spans a full range of activities, including party building, grassroots campaigning, organizing, strategic planning, and fundraising on the national, state, and the local levels. She shares our focus of empowering Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the political process. Bell continues to actively campaign for presidential, senatorial, congressional, and legislative candidates for elected office. She has served as the chair of the DNC AAPI Caucus and the DNC National Committee Woman for Maryland from 2001 up to the present, and was recently re-elected unanimously for a fifth four-year term.
Take it out.
As chair of the DNC AAPI Caucus, in her years at the DNC, she created, the national infrastructure of AAPI caucuses and councils at state and local levels to encourage AAPI participation in the body policies. She also established the DNC committee structure to assimilate all the ethnic groups active during the Biden and Harris campaign under the AAPI's for Biden umbrella and the build networks and the coalitions, both inside and outside of the DNC. I can go on and on and on about her achievements, but I think it's more important for her to speak to you about why this is an especially crucial time for AAPIs to be involved in the political process and our unique role in it. Ms. Bell, I'll hand you the stage.
Thank you so very much, Lingo, for that very, very kind introduction. You're the best. Greetings from Ocean City. Actually, I am. I just came down here this afternoon, and so I'm a little bit unsettled with my my technology, as it were. First of all, thank you all for having me here, and for being on this occasion to kick off the work, the very hard work ahead of us. Thank you especially to Linguo for her leadership. I have to tell you, everybody, she has been an absolute stellar leader. I have known Ling for now about 5 or 6 years. And in that time, my admiration for her continues to grow each day. You know, each time that I think that, you know, I ask the question, where does she have the energy to do all of the things that she does? She surprises me even more. And with that energy, I look forward to working with you as we move into the midterm. As you all know, this midterm is, you know, I hate to use this tried phrase, but it is very critical for us. It is an absolute critical election because, as Ling said in her introduction, it is democracy that is on the ballot right now, much more so even than this last during the 2020 election. 2020 election, it was absolutely crucial that we move from the person that was there before President Biden. This time, what we have seen is that the atmosphere that the previous president created and the environment that he created has given rise to a lot of hate. Anti-Asian hate, especially, as you all know, has been on the rise, and it is because of this person giving permission for hate to flourish in this country. This is not the country that you and I came to. I, like many of you, I am an immigrant. I was born in China and came here as a teenager. The country that I fled is the country that we live in right now is beginning to look like the country that I fled. And it is not a pretty sight. So we have to make sure that as we go to the ballot, we remember why it is that we are here. We are here because this is the country of our dream. This is the country where we can prosper. But if we continue in the path that the various legislatures around the country have started to move towards, we're going to be starting to lose that freedom and that liberty and that ability to pursue our own happiness. As you all have seen over the last 18 months, state legislatures have started to elect and put into place laws that are extremely restrictive. Not only to personal liberties, but also in terms of our freedom to vote, our freedom to pursue the life that we choose. So right now, for this upcoming election, we're fighting not only to keep the majorities in the House of Representatives, in Congress and in the Senate, and but also to make sure that our legislatures remain on the Democratic column. So what that means is that each and every one of you that are out there that have a network that you can energize, this is the time to do that. This is the time to organize and to go out and make sure that people that have not yet been registered do register. This is the time that we convince our friends and our relatives that are for some reason moved over to the Republican side, convince them that we need to stay on the Democratic to elect Democratic candidates up and down the ballot, whether it is at the local level, it is at the state level, or at the federal level. As Ling said, we the organization that she put together, the AADC, over the last 7 or 8 years, have flourished, and it has grown over the years, and I hope that it will continue to grow as under her leadership. And I know that under her leadership that the hard work that you all put into making sure that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were elected in 2020 will translate also into victories in the midterm in 2022, and hopefully also in 2024. It is absolutely critical that we retain the majority in both houses, because without that, that means that a lot of the laws, a lot of the advances that we were able to put in place this last 18 months will be for naught. So I implore you, go out there, work hard, make sure that we elect Democrats up and down the ballot at the local races, at the state races, and at the federal races. I know that that the AADC, which is, by the way, now also part of the larger DNC infrastructure, will also continue to work with all of the other affinity groups as well, so that we can all win in November. I thank you very much, and I look forward to continuing this relationship. I know that Ling has always been there for me, and I'm there for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Belle. There is a reason so many refer to Belle as Mama Belle. It's because of her hard work in laying down the structure and the groundwork for building out for the expansion of AAPI participation in the DNC, that we can grow to the size and influence that we have right now. We'll always be indebted to her for her vision and the trailblazing work. Thank you, Belle, one more time.
Thank you.
C will introduce the representatives and the candidates running for offices that we have with us tonight. Z.
So we have invited current AAPI Democratic representatives and candidates who are currently running for office from different regions across the US to speak to us tonight. They will spend about 3 to 5 minutes introducing themselves and talk about why they're in this fight for our democracy. And like Belle said, literally democracy is on the ballot this year. And first we have the representatives who are already in office and have been working to improve our communities and our country. They are the ones who are proposing and implementing policies that affect people, including AAPI communities, in a very direct way. So one special fact about the elected officials who are with us tonight is that they're mostly from what are often considered to be difficult areas for Democrats. So I'm very excited to hear from them about their motivations, their frustrations, but most importantly, for all of us to hear how they're making a difference for everyone, even or especially in difficult to win areas. First, we have Representative Rui Xu, who represents the 25th House District of Kansas, Representative Xu is concluding his second term in the Kansas legislature as the only Asian American and only naturalized American citizen serving. He serves as the House Democratic Policy Chair, is the ranking Democrat on the Financial Institutions and Rural Development Committee, and also serves on the Commerce and Agriculture Committee. Representative Xu?
Thank you all so much. And I also apologize. I'm in my car right now. I was at a casting event for a friend of mine. So I apologize for that. I have to run to that afterwards as well. Thank you guys so much for hosting me for this. I think it's so important right now, especially to see Asian Americans at all levels of government, especially after the last 2 years of AAPI hate. Like Z said, I'm currently the only Asian American in the Kansas legislature. And then so I know that out of 125 representatives and 40 senators, it's my duty to not only represent my amazing 23,000 constituents in my district in the Kansas City Metro, but also Asian Americans across the entire state. I want to be that leader and that guide in a way that I didn't really have growing up throughout my political career. I think this is a really tiny example, but this is a reason why I think it's important to have people like us in positions of power. So for my first term, we have these lobbyist dinners once in a while where the legislators can kind of drop in and out and just grab some food. And so in my very first term, there was one where they emailed out about Oriental dinner night. And then so obviously I think we all know that that's a very outdated term. And so I just emailed them really quickly and then said, hey, I'm not mad about it, but just let you guys know it's pretty outdated. You can just say Asian. That's fine. And I immediately got a very sincere apology. And they said, hey, that means a lot. Nobody's ever said anything about it. Nobody's ever corrected us about it. We've been doing it for years. And that hasn't happened since. And again, that's a very, very, very small example. But I think that just goes to prove why even having us in the room matters, right? I think me being in the Kansas legislature has really toned down the rhetoric that we've seen in some of the other states in terms of anti-Asian hate. I think I'm fairly well respected even amongst my Republican friends and colleagues there. And so they know that they can't outwardly say the things that they might be saying in privately. And while we would prefer them not be thinking about that at all, I think we'll take that win. I certainly need help. I want to see more Asian Americans in Kansas. I'm tired of being the only one. But we also certainly need more help nationwide. Again, you heard the stat earlier that we're more than 6% of the population, but less than 1% elected officials. That's why I'm so excited to be a part of this call and to see all the other candidates. Unfortunately, I can't stay on to listen because I got to go back out and then canvass some more. But I'm just really excited to share the stage and want to see a lot more of us in elected positions. So again, thank you so much for having me. Again, I can't stay on for questions. If you have any questions for me at all, feel free to reach out afterwards. You can Google me and find my email or phone number. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I am going to thank you so much, Representative Xu, and especially for you to run out of your current campaign work to help us and to join us for tonight. Thank you very much. Okay, we have Professor Karen Kwan, who is a member of the Utah House of Representatives from the 34th District. So Representative Kwan was first elected in 2016, flipping the district from red to blue. She has served on a number of important committees, including the Executive Appropriations Committee, the Higher Education Appropriations Subcommittee, the House Transportation Committee, and the Subcommittee on Oversight, among others. Representative Kwan is also an associate professor of psychology at Salt Lake Community College. Representative Kwan? Right.
So I'm not sure, I guess she joined us because she has I guess she has time difference than us. Maybe we can go to next. We can
Sure.
wait.
Yeah. The thing with these events is that, as anyone who's worked in this knows, there's always changes and we just roll with it. Okay, so next then we have Delegate Lily Chi, who is a member of the House of Delegates in Maryland, representing District 15. Delegate Chi, like many of us here tonight, is an immigrant. She was first elected in 2019 and has been in office since. She became the Deputy Majority Whip in 2022 and is part of the Economic Matters Committee, Workers' Compensation Subcommittee, Business Regulation Subcommittee, among others. She has extensive business experience and was recognized as Maryland's one of Maryland's top 100 women in 2018. All right, do we have Delegate Chi, Lily Chi on?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, thank you so much.
Hi, good evening. I'm thrilled to join all of you. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay? All right,
Perfect.
great. Well, greetings to all of you friends. Thank you for having me. I want to give a shout out to Paul Zhu, who is my dear friend and a representative of AADC. But I want to commend first to AADC for hosting this and rallying our community for turning out the votes, and kudos to Ling Luo, to our mother hen, Bao Lianghao. Thank you for your many years of dedication and hard work, helping Asian Americans get involved and helping Democrats win up and down the ballot. I am Delegate Lily Chi. This is my first term. I'm also in the middle of my re-election campaign for my second term. As you know, the state of Maryland is is one of the states that has just turned a majority minority after the 2020 census. So we're very excited to see that Asian Americans are not only among the fastest growing nationally, but also in the state of Maryland as well. And fortunately, that has been reflected in our community's steady increase in participation, political participation in terms of both voter registration and voter turnout for the past two election cycles. So today I would just share with you a little bit of my political journey because it's quite an unconventional journey for someone like me. I first of all want to give a big kudos and appreciation for your AADC's early and strong support when I first launched my campaign running in 2018. You were among the first organizations to endorse me, and that meant a world to me. Thank you very much. So I grew up during the Cultural Revolution in China. For those of you who came from mainland China, you probably know what I'm talking about. It was a very tumultuous time, and we lived through a very difficult time and a different experience, an entirely different political system, so to speak. Okay, so I have a different take on a lot of issues, both local and global. As I established myself in this country, as a professional, I got to learn more of what it means to be an Asian American and what it means to be a minority in this country, really, because I was not a minority when I grew up in China, right? So this was an entirely different identity crisis for me. And I learned a lot of that through learning about Black American history and culture. And over the years, I decided to get involved in civil rights organizations. And that was when I first cut teeth as a community leader. As I got more and more involved in Asian American student affairs in organizations like OCA, AADC, Organization of Chinese Americans, and so forth. I attended the conferences and learned about a lot of Asian American issues. I started getting more involved in civic matters and local community matters. And gradually, I encouraged other people to do the same by serving on boards, committees, and commissions, by bringing them along to meet and greets, to political rallies, to fundraisers. And I hosted some of these events myself, but I never really seriously considered running for office, because there was no role model for immigrants to run for office. We were the supporting troop, right? We were supposed to support other people. And I supported many other people over the years, but hardly anyone from the larger community encouraged me. The only people who encouraged me to run were from my own Asian American and Chinese communities. At first I brushed it off. until I kind of ran out of excuses because after I became, I established a successful career working in local government, economic development, and getting involved for so many years. I saw all these community issues and I just couldn't look away. And I said, I could do better. I could really make a difference because I understand today's Maryland and Montgomery County and our Asian American community. I could be a bridge builder. I could be a unique voice to bring our people's perspectives. So when I launched my campaign, it was a lot of excitement in our Asian American community. But at the same time, there was a lot of confusion. Frankly, some of my friends started pulling away from me because they didn't realize I was actually a Democrat, and they questioned why I chose to be a Democrat. And I said, I have always been. Ever since I became an American citizen, I could vote. I voted for Al Gore, and I knew why I was a Democrat. But I found myself having to run two concurrent campaigns that were very culturally distinct. One was to carve out a niche to speak to my own cultural community, which is Chinese immigrant community that largely did not understand the Maryland local politics, not just the election system, which is we have a closed primary election system that requires people to register as a party member in order to vote in the all-important primary. And a lot of people stayed on the fence and did not want to join political parties until my campaign, when I had to take the time and my volunteers had to take the time to educate our community about that, but also to sell the party platform and to explain to our community the difference between Republicans and Democrats. So I think the beauty of having diverse candidates running is that we can be natural cultural bridges, is that we can explain democracy and explain our civic engagement, explain what it means to exercise our full rights as Americans, right, to our people, and bring a lot of new energy into the bigger tent. I'm very proud. I think the greatest win for my election was not electing myself as one person to speak for the community, but was to show our community the roadmap to political relevancy. Because if we vote in elections that matter, which in Maryland, it meant Democratic primary, okay? Especially in Montgomery County, in deep blue Montgomery County, it meant a Democratic primary. Then we matter, our voices matter, right? Candidates and political politicians will pay attention to what we have to say. So I was very proud that many people in our community, especially the Chinese American community, of course, we reached out to Korean communities and Iranian communities and Muslim communities as well. But most of my, fervent, strongest supporters still came from the Chinese community. And many of them did get off the fence and registered as Democrats for the first time and told me how proud they were to be first-time voter and first-time Democratic voter and first-time donors and first-time volunteers. That was a game changer for our community. And how do I know it changed our game? Because this year, barely 4 years later, we have several other credible candidates from our community running. And I think at least one of them is going to make it. So this is really exciting. And that is how we build a stronger community, by paying forward and continue the engagement. So I want to thank you for everything you do. And I just want to say, life experiences matter. You might think our cultural upbringing is a disadvantage. It actually is an advantage in so many ways. Because of my cultural upbringing, growing up in a society with no private sector, I have strong respect for market economy and private sector. I'm a very strong supporter of businesses, and I have become a very strong champion, respected legislator for growing entrepreneurship and small businesses in Maryland legislature. And so I'm glad I focus on my strengths. And also I focus on helping the cultural minority communities, including other marginalized communities. For example, my bill has led to the establishment of the LGBTQ commission in the state of Maryland. So now Maryland has a commission on LGBTQ affairs. So we can speak for many other communities that are also struggling. And it's important to know our strengths and play to that. So I'm really honored to join you, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Delegate Chi. It's super inspiring to hear how people become, when they couldn't find a role model, they become the role model. So I think that is incredible, and I'm really glad that we have now many role models that we in our community. So our final elected official speaking tonight is the Fort Bend County Judge, KP George. Judge George, and I feel like that could be a show even, was elected to serve as Fort Bend County Judge starting 2019. In this position, he oversees all of the county's employees and a large budget. Judge George has placed a heavy focus on homeland security and emergency management since taking office, and emphasized transparency in government, youth empowerment, and improving the quality of life for citizens while building resiliency through infrastructure improvements. All right, do we have Judge George?
Yes, I'm here. I hope you could hear me.
Could hear you just fine.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I greatly appreciate this opportunity, and thank you for inviting me. And I supposed to get here a little bit earlier. I was at the Pride March at the Constellation, one of our baseball stadiums. So I got a little bit late, but thank you. And I'm so excited to see so many people from all over the country. And sometimes you look back and you feel like, am I alone here? You know, there's nobody I don't see, but seeing each and every one of you gave me so much happiness. And as of course, as introduced, I am the county judge. You know, don't get confused about county judge in Texas. County judge means you are the chief executive of the county, and the smaller counties, they do some judicial activities also. That's what they generally called judge. Our county is Fort Bend County. I wanted to know that according to Kinder Institute, we are the most ethnically diverse county in the country, and 29% white, 24% Hispanics, approximately 22% Asians, and 21.5% African American. So it is like more like a 25-25 kind of thing. And I am the first person of any color. The county was established in 1837. I'm the first person of any color got elected to run that county. And I'm very honored and humble. Today we are, with 52,000 people in the 1970 census, we are 50 years later, we are at around 900,000 people. And we have a vibrant Asian American community living in Fort Bend. And I just want you to know that I'm with you. And I remember, during COVID, and, once also one of my another responsibilities, since I'm the chief executive of the county, when there is any kind of emergency, I am the director of emergency management. So since 2019, I have no lack of emergencies. So COVID is one example. Then we had snowstorm and all that stuff. So during COVID, and I remember sitting down and talking to some of our Asian brothers and sisters, and they were facing kind of persecution and abuse out there. So we did bring Ling is a good friend of mine, and and thank you for leading this effort. We brought our Asian American community and all Fort Bend County residents, few hundred people assembled, and we protested, and we will continue to do that. One thing I said, human dignity is #1 priority in our county. And also we have crazy history. When you have nothing else to do, just Google and find out what Fort Bend history is. We had a white-only primary until 1953 in Fort Bend County. So today, one of the thriving counties, and my goal, as already mentioned, youth empowerment. Today there is a leadership program, an internship program. This summer we have a paid internship program and things of that nature. And we are leading the county. And when it comes to COVID management, we were always in the top per capita basis, vaccine administration and things of that nature, in the top 1, 2, 3 ranking among 254 counties. It was a lot of good work, and I consider this as an opportunity, and also consider this as an honor to show the people who look at us with doubt. And my attitude is always, I'm going to show it to you, I'm 10 times better than running this county than you. And that said, I get all kind of, if you follow me, KP George is my screen name when it comes to social media. If you follow me, you will see all kind of hate stuff they write. But that's all okay. I mean, I'm here to say, when we collectively get together, all of you give me hope. And my goal is to bring others to run for office. And we have a number of, we have an Asian American judge, and we have a constable and some other people who got nominated in the Democratic Party side for the 2022 election. So I just wanted to, kind of conclude by saying, when we all came together, I was able to win. We all came together. That is where the strength is. And so if you are in Fort Bend, always, I like to see people who wanted to run for office. And I always said this, nothing I do is about me, and never should be. And it is about our next generation. That's why we started our leadership program and internship programs. And there was nothing like that there before. And so empowering our young people is always a priority. And I was a school board member before I became the county judge. So that's where, of course, we all come from Asian background. We all hold education very close to our hearts. And I conclude by saying this, and I remember running for office, and I asked one of our, Asian students, how do I get your dad's attention? Because sometimes they're just busy about their stuff. And he said, talk to them about education. That's the only way you get their attention. So we are, I just wanted to say, continue to serve, continue to our county's growth, accommodate our growth. And so I wish I could talk to a lot of things, but due to limited time. If you wanted to learn more about Fort Bend County or me, kpgeorge.com. And also we have all kinds of social media presence, and visit us. Love to tell you and how Fort Bend County is continue to thrive. So I know that people joining from all over the country. And you know what, if you feel inside your heart, this is the message I leave you with. If you feel you wanted to serve, take it and run with it. And when your intentions are right, the resources will come, the people will come. And I'm sure those who are elected know this. This is a testimony. Everybody say, when you take it to your heart and run, and it will come. Don't hesitate, because it is more important than ever. Our presence, our representation. And so I was listening to some motivational speeches. They said, if they don't give you a seat, bring a folding chair. Refuse to sit on the floor. And so ask for a seat at the table. And so please, I wanted to encourage, if anything I can do, I will always here to help. And thank you for this opportunity to talk to each and every one of you. And looking forward to get to know you all more. Once again, KP George, Fort Bend County Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge George. You embody the energy we need, or we're going to need, in this election cycle. I want to thank again all the elected officials who spoke tonight for fighting a difficult and often uphill battle in the long and winding path of serving our democracy and representing our community. Our next group of guest speakers are candidates who are running for office during this election cycle. Again, in what are traditionally very difficult areas, and in what is expected to be a very harsh election cycle. We have a unique opportunity to make a difference and beat a margin of victory again. The candidates will have about 3 to 5 minutes each to introduce themselves and talk about why they're in this fight for our democracy, especially during this very difficult time. Okay, first we have the youngest candidate to run for state office in Ohio, and if he wins, he will be the youngest legislator in U.S. history. Mr. Sam Tao, who is running for Ohio State House District 56, sorry, they have
Hi, that's
changed.
me. My name's
Yeah,
Sam.
and
Yeah.
Sam may still be a high school student, but he is a rising young leader in the API community and has nurtured a great passion for public service since 5th grade. He wants to motivate more young people to care about politics and to serve his community. He has already received multiple awards for his activism and is building a platform based on love, compassion, and unity. Okay, Sam?
That's me. Second time's a charm. My name is Sam, and as C said, I'm running in Ohio. I'm the youngest to ever run in Ohio's history. And so I know that a couple of the audience members might have the question of how can I run? I'm 17. Don't you have to be 25 or 21? Well, Ohio's constitution states you have to be 18 by general election. And Ohio's like one of the few states that doesn't have an explicit age requirement in the constitution, but formally you should be 18 by the election, which I will be. So it's like I'll turn 18 October 17th. So it's like just there. So I'm a high schooler, I'm a rising senior, and right now in Ohio, we actually only have 2 Asian Americans amid our Ohio state legislature of 132 seats, and I'm running to be the 3rd. As Mr. KP George said about empowering our youth, I just feel empowered just being here, and it's amazing to see just a lot of older Asian Americans fighting for our future, and it really means a lot. So I'd like to say thank you to everyone here. But one of the reasons why I decided to run was, and it's been brought up by some of the previous candidates and just elected officials, is that I want to be there as a good role model and a good influence in government, because as someone who like was born in 2004 and grew up in a generation that is very diverse and has just a lot of tolerance towards each other and acceptance. I sometimes take for granted the amount of diversity we have and the amount of just representation my generation has in media, even though it's not as much as it should be, but it's still more than the previous generations. And for that, I'm grateful. But we need to make sure that legislators need to be proportionally representing the population of America in the state legislature. And the fact that we only have 2 Asian Americans in the state legislature is not enough for our state. And so that's why I'm running on that baseline. And because of that lack of exposure to many of these diverse cultures, this is why we have anti-Asian hate crimes, because it comes from the ignorance that is bred by the fact is that people are not exposed to these multifaceted and different variables of cultures. And so that's why one of my policies is actually to introduce Asian American history into the curriculum. And I know that someone in the Ohio State Legislature actually proposed that, but if it dies in the Senate, that's what I plan to do in the House. And this midterm, we're going to just build the Ohio Blue Coalition and build that Democratic bench from ground up. So how did I get into politics? Because I should be going to parties. I'm 17. I should be studying for some tests or taking this or that summer program. Well, it all started in the 5th grade when my friends and I, for our class project, we decided to create a PSA promoting guinea worm illness and just how we can alleviate that. And what it is it's a waterborne illness in Africa that a lot of 3rd world citizens experience, where if they drink the water, they can contract guinea worms, which is something very unfortunate. And cases actually used to be back in the millions a few decades ago, but now cases are down to like the single digits because of the Carter Center's work, which is the organization founded by Jimmy Carter post-presidency. And so with a couple of my friends and I, we created a short PSA just promoting the Carter Center and that program and the efforts they put to combat the guinea worm illness. And so it was to commemorate that on the program's 20th anniversary. And so it was shown at the Carter Center screening on their 20th anniversary meeting. And so it received high accolades, not just from President Jimmy Carter himself, but also from several health ministers from the remaining African endemic countries. And so to just have that kind of impact, and by the way, I really love like filmmaking. Like that's one of my greatest passions. And to be able to combine that with community service is something incredibly wonderful. And so I carried on the idea of just getting involved in politics and just keeping up to date throughout my middle school years, where I volunteered on campaigns, I phone banked, and during my freshman year at high school, I was actually a freshman when the pandemic hit. And so I worked on a lot of COVID relief with my local Asian American civics chapter. And this was around the time when anti-Asian hate crimes were rampant. And I knew that the second that COVID would start, AAPIs would become the scapegoats for the coronavirus. And I knew that. And just every single day to see just the news and waking up to these headlines of how many people were hurt. I heard about this 7-year-old kid that just looked like me that was stabbed in Texas at a Sam's Club. I can't imagine and fathom that. And so to see all these things add up, it's like it ties back to the fact is that we don't have enough people that look like API people in the community, in government. And so we need more representation. And COVID hate crime prevention acts and civil rights acts can only do so much, but we need more people that look like us in government. So I'm going to keep reaffirming that. And I think that I'm in just like a really unique position to be running, not just as an API candidate, but also as a 17-year-old. So there's there's double the attraction for a lot of the appeals, especially like to our like online audiences. And so actually, if there's one thing I would say that has been like going against us and for us, it's been our age. The race actually has been an incredible strength. And so to any of the API youth watching this, just know that your heritage is your strength. Actually, because of the fact that I'm an AAPI, I actually got a lot of extra coverage due to that. And so it gave us an advantage as a candidate in Ohio, which is pretty amazing. But I may be 17 regarding the age thing, but I like to think I'm a young adult trapped in a teenager's body, because that's how I act sometimes. But yeah, I'm really lucky to just be in this position where I can see so many just media coverages on API and media and entertainment. And I know that it's going to increase exponentially. And we just need the right people to foster that. And I'm also lucky to have raised 15 grand and more for our down ballot race. And especially like these down ballot races, they are, I would argue, just as important as a presidential or congressional race, because I would argue that your state legislator that's working in your capital is closer to you in proximity than some person in the Oval Office in Washington, where there's partisan gridlock in Congress. So anyways, we're one of the most well-funded non-incumbents in Ohio, actually, and we've had 324 contributions, with 99% of them being first-time donors. So we're mobilizing a lot of people into entering politics and to just take an interest, because especially with the young people and the young API members specifically, when you have a peer that's running, you're going to be more inclined to just look at what they're doing. And yeah, but not only that, but it's been my heritage as a person of color that really caught the eye of many of our users, like on Twitter, that supported our initial traction for our campaign, such as the March for Our Lives founder, David Hogg. And we managed to garner 3 million impressions in a month and a half off of that. So our goal for this campaign is obviously to win. I love winning. Everyone loves winning. No one likes losing. But aside from that, we want to register as many young voters as possible. And we have done that. So we've registered several members on our campaign. We've registered anyone in our high school who's eligible. I actually, even though I'm 17, I've already voted in Ohio. And this is not voter fraud, because I can vote. Ohio lets you vote if you're 17, but you're going to be 18 by the general election. So I already voted in the first primary for our state. So yeah, so we're going to register as many voters, and simultaneously, we're going to build the Ohio Democratic Coalition from ground up. And it's all about moving the needle. It's all about moving the needle. Even I've seen like several times, so many people wonder, there are unwinnable districts, right? And like, there's just one Democratic candidate running there, and why pour money into that Democrat candidate running there if the district's unwinnable? It's all about moving the needle, because our nation is getting more progressive and more liberal and more democratic. And if we keep having someone there that keeps moving that needle upwards, maybe they lose this cycle, but they will win maybe the next cycle. So it's all about just persistence. And that's how so many candidates, and not just candidates actually, but elected officials that I've met on this campaign trail in the state legislature right now, they just kept going. And so they managed to flip their district by like 56 votes, for instance. Our House minority leader did that in 2018. So your vote does matter. We actually had 18 elections last year that were tied in Ohio, 18 tied elections, and any extra voter would have changed the outcome. If we just had one person go to the polls and vote, it would have changed it. But instead, we had just the outcome decided by a coin flip or the random drawing of a name from a hat. But we're here to usher a smooth transition for more Generation Z and Asian American campaigns to come. So if there is any takeaway from my speech, it's that embrace your culture, embrace yourself and who you truly are, because America's diversity is an amazing feature of our country, and more people in the majority wish they had that. So I'd like to thank AADC for having me, and my website is samtaoohio.com. I'll put it in the Zoom chat, and let's elect the youngest state legislator in US history. That would be a huge win for the API community and also the youth of the future that's Asian American too. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. And we cannot wait to see what you will achieve in the future. The sky's the limit. Our next candidate is Mr. Daniel Lee, who is running for Texas State House District 26. Daniel was born and raised a Texan. At an early age, he learned the importance of hard work from his parents. He attended university while working for various representatives, organizing bills and responding to constituents. He passed the Texas State Bar in 2007, and since then, he's been fighting for families, children, single mothers, and fathers' rights all over Texas. He has handled thousands of cases for many Texans and especially for his neighbors in Katy, Richmond, Pecan Grove, and Richmond areas of Fort Bend County, Texas. Daniel?
Good evening, guys. I want to say thank you to AADC and especially Ling Lo for inviting me out here to speak with y'all, recognizing my campaign. I see a lot of you guys that have helped out my campaign, been on the campaign trail with me, donated, encouraged me on Facebook, Twitter, etc. Even come by and dropped off, you know, pizza or cookies for my staff, just anything that y'all have done, even prayers. I really, really, truly appreciate y'all. I am so excited to see all these leaders here, especially hearing that we might have a 17-year-old. I mean, I have a 16-year-old right now. I wish my 16-year-old could be that 17-year-old. And I'm just so proud and amazed that, you know, what we can do as Asian Americans, right? And I'm running basically because I used to work in the Capitol, and in fact, I used to be part of the Republican Party at that age, at the age of 20. And what I learned about the party and how they treat Asian Americans led me to leave the party. And my dad's here today. And my dad also left the party once we found out how they truly felt about us. Being at the Capitol in Austin, I was actually able to hear a lot of the murmurs and the things that they would say about us, as I worked for the only Asian American candidate at the time. And I could hear and listen to how the party's members, their leaders, actually thought about Asian Americans in general, and joked about, you know, our eyes, and that, you know, we're technically the model minority. And so it's okay to let us in into some of these discussions, right? And those are the things that, you know, I know we're being recorded, but we don't talk about. We don't talk about that we're fighting basically a Star Wars-like story, right? The bad guys keep getting bigger and bigger, and we keep fighting, you know, we keep winning battles here and there, and it just seems like they never go away. And the reason why is that they are essentially taking us and dividing us. They're giving us bad information and figuring out where they can split us all up. Whether it's, you know, hey, you don't want a president or a party that supports China, and let's get a bunch of people that are from Hong Kong or from Taiwan, right? and go on WeChat and just kind of start blowing that up, right? Or something that happened in an election in my area, ISD trustee election, they were using people in our community, in our Asian community, and telling them, hey, if you don't vote for our Republican candidates, these Democratic candidates will teach your child to be LGBTQ, right? And some of my workers were part of that campaign and said, whoa, I didn't sign up for this. I thought it was a nonpartisan race. Those things are happening here, guys. And what we need to do is we need to get under one umbrella, one theme, and push out all of this hate and fear, because we don't want what happened in 2021 in the gubernatorial race to happen to us, where they used Asian Americans to win their election. We don't want our communities to be used as some type of bow and arrow, to win races for the Republican Party, when they're using us as a message, people that are giving out messages and wrong messages. So what happened in Virginia was they were misrepresenting to the Asian community that CRT was something that was similar to what I said earlier. It's something that teaches, something very bad to our children and turning it into something that it really isn't. And in our Asian communities here, we're very concerned about protecting our children and our education and protecting our families, because we're getting harassed, beat down, physically abused in all of the cities here in the United States. Texas, obviously, a little bit different. They're using guns, right? And in my campaign, what we're pushing now is we're trying to protect children in high schools, creating programs where they know what to do in actual school shooter settings. When I was growing up, we had earthquake, and it was in the 80s, so we had, nuclear bomb drills, right, where we hid under the desks. So we're trying to put together programs right now so that we can protect our kids from active school shooting situations. And it stinks that that's what we've resorted to, instead of actually coming together, making good laws, having good candidates that are not bought out by the NRA, that actually care about families. And so if you have any Democratic, if you live in an area where you don't have an Asian American candidate, you have a Democratic candidate, go donate money, go push out your time, get high school students that or if you have high school students, get them registered, get their friends registered, because guys, we can't win this stuff. We can't change the world and make it better without building that bench. Without Sams of this world, we need more Sams. That's all I can say. If we had 1,000 Sams for every Donald, we would win this thing. So I know that I need to come and ask you guys for money, tell you guys how awesome I am, tell you guys to support me, because, I'm going to do a good job for you. But what is more important to me, I would lose this election. I don't mind losing this election if it means that we can turn this entire state and this entire country blue. That's my main concern. That's what I care about. No, I don't have enough money to run for president, but I'm going to do what I can to win this election. I won my primary 65 to 35, and we're confident we can make this happen. But I need you guys to do what you guys can do for your areas so that we can save lives, we can change this world, and we don't have to sit there and be afraid every time our parents are walking outside, we're walking outside, we sending our kids to school with, body armor, or teaching them, hey, this is how you dodge a bullet or something like that. Having conversations like that is not normal. That's not normal whatsoever. And having conversations about arming our teachers is absolutely ridiculous. Talking about having one door in a school is freaking stupid, okay? It makes no sense. So let's switch out all these idiots, put smart people in there. It'd be great if they're Asian. It'd be great if it's me. If not, that's fine. We just need to get all these gun-loving Republicans out of there. Daniel Lee for House District 26 in the state of Texas. Thank you.
All right, minor Zoom issue. Always forget to unmute. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you for all your hard work. I mean, on behalf of your clients before this, and also we hope that you will be able to continue fighting for them and fighting for the community and fighting for all of us in the Texas House. Our next guest speaker tonight is Ms. Ya Liu, who is running for North Carolina State House District 21. She received her PhD in sociology from North Carolina State University, then attained her law degree, all while working full-time. She is a small business owner and an accomplished attorney. She has served the Triangle community by helping to organize many different cultural events. She was elected to Cary Town Council and sworn in on December 12, 2019, and is serving her first term through 2023. Do we have Ya with us?
Yes, thank you so much for your kind introduction. I really appreciate it. Actually, I just finished my council meeting. We have council meetings every other Thursday. It's such an honor to be here. I'm just so thrilled to be invited to talk to everyone. And thank you so much, Ms. Ling Luo. Thank you for your leadership, for what you do for so many candidates across the state, across the country. And I'm just so grateful for your leadership and your advocacy and your persistence in helping out so many AAPI candidates across this country. I just want to share with you my personal journey that led me to politics. I have been a volunteer for over about 20 years in the Triangle area. I wasn't involved in politics that much, but I was just very involved in all kinds of community services, cultural festivals, youth seminars, fundraisers for cancer patients, and organizing some moms groups get together and organize like kids get together. So just very, very involved and worked as a community organizer. And in 2019, I was asked if I was interested in running for that seat. If I knew what I know now, I probably wouldn't have, because I was running against an incumbent and in a relatively moderate area in Cary. So in 2017, in North Carolina, we elected the first Chinese American to Chapel Hill Town Council. And so that laid the foundation work for me. I just want to share with you that how important it is to have the first, then it just will encourage more candidates to run for office to provide a voice for our community. So I decided to give it a try. And nobody thought we could win. Our mayor and the council members endorsed my opponent. But all the support that I had mostly came from the Chinese community. But we got together, we raised a bunch of money. We canvassed 4,000 doors. I probably personally canvassed like 1,000 doors. And it was a really well-run campaign. So we beat an incumbent and turned the district from red to blue. And that just stunned so many people because no one really thought I could win. I had zero name recognition when I first started running. But we were able to put all the yard signs on all major streets. We were the first one to put the yard signs out. And I was at all kinds of events everywhere, right? So we ran a strong campaign and we had a huge victory. I beat the incumbent by like 21 percentage points. So that was like a huge win. So it's been a great experience serving on the council, just providing a voice. I was the only person of color on the Cary Town Council, actually the first woman of color to ever elected to the Cary Town Council. Just to give you some context, Cary is the second largest municipality in North Carolina. It has a population of 180,000 people. it has a growing AAPI community. The largest AAPI communities are Chinese American community and Indian American community. So I will be the first Asian American woman in the General Assembly. Currently, we have 2 Indian Americans in the state Senate, but I will be the first Asian American woman in the General Assembly, and the first Chinese American to ever elected to state legislature. So it's typically very hard to serve in public office in general, because, right, like as a working professional, it's really difficult to juggle between parenting, public service, and work. And I have 3 children, school-age children. I have a very busy law practice. And to be completely honest with you, like my business take a hit, right? Like from doing this. But I just really feel this is something that I have to do. And people have supported me. When I ran my campaign, you won't believe it. We had several hundred people donating to my campaign. We have several hundred people like knocking on doors for me. So I just feel that this responsibility on me. I've worked with some of you on phone banking, on texting, on writing postcards for other Democratic candidates. So this is going to be maybe a challenging year for North Carolina. I would encourage you to get involved in North Carolina elections. We have the North Carolina Congressional District 13. It's one of the top 10 most competitive districts for congressional districts in the country. And we also have a very competitive Senate race, U.S. Senate race. It's also in the top 10 Senate race. And I know all the candidates at all level of government. And if you want to help with our districts, our state, I would really appreciate it. So stay involved, and I'll share my personal phone and email with you so you can get in touch with me. Again, I really appreciate the overwhelming support from our community. Just thank you for the advocacy work that you have been doing.
Thank you so much, for deciding to bring all your skill set, and even at the risk of, taking a little hit to your own business in order to run and to represent us. And we really hope that you could bring your skills and knowledge into the State House. I know we're a little over our scheduled time, but just to show how much enthusiasm there is in our community, we have 2 surprise last-minute speakers tonight. Additional speakers. So first is Sam Huang, another Sam, our second Sam tonight, who is running for the Arizona House of Representatives for House District 12. Sam is an Army veteran, a journalist, a small business owner. He also is an educator with a PhD in educational leadership, and was a City of Chandler council member. Sam also had an interesting journey in politics, changing his party affiliation from Republican to Democrat, just like Daniel earlier. And we're so glad to have him here today to tell us his story.
Hello, everybody. Hi, you can hear from me very strong Asian accent. Probably the worst among all the candidates and elected official here. And I'm probably also the oldest person. And actually, I'm very nervous, but it looks like I'm okay now. Yeah, I was very nervous. Now I'm okay. So I'll speak in English. So I was born and raised in Taiwan. I came to the United States when I was already 30 years old. And I came here as a graduate student to go to School of Education. I want to get my PhD and go back to Taiwan and become a Minister of Education someday. Of course, that didn't work out. So here I am, and I become US citizen in 2006. I have been like to serve as a public servant since I was very little. I was greatly influenced by traditional Chinese 儒家学说, I was heavily influenced when I was little. So I always think 达则兼善天下，穷则独善其身. So yes, thank you for the for 这个Su Chen, your introduction. Yes, I did have several titles, but my biggest title actually was house husband. I was a house husband for many years, and I raised 2 children, and I changed 99% of their diapers, and I'm still very proud of it. I want to put it into my resume, but everybody say don't do that. Yeah. So I decided to run for office in 2012, and in 2012, at that time, I only had 3 months to prepare for all the signatures and raising fund and all those things. So I didn't really raise much fund, and I plan to fail. No, I run as best as I can, but I already mentally prepare I won't win. But the result is better than I thought. I didn't win, so I ran the second time, and I was shy of 1,000 votes. So I decided to run for the third time, and this time I was a front runner, and I won the race pretty easily in 2016. And I served 4 years as a Chandler City Council member, and I break several records. I was the first Asian city councilman in city of Chandler, and also during my term, we start many first things. I also organized the first ever demonstration, mainly by Chinese people. And yes, I am a Taiwanese, but I came from Taiwan, but most of my friends are from mainland China. We don't have many Taiwanese here in Arizona. Most of them are very old already, and I'm already 60 years old, and I am actually one of the youngest Taiwanese here. So this is situation is it's kind of a little bit difficult for me to run for an office. And I was a Republican. I joined Republican in 2012. Arizona is very red. Arizona is Republican dominant, and so it's just like if you grow up, if you were born in a Christian, you become a Christian. If you born as in a Buddhist family, you could be a Buddhist. I came to Arizona. Most of my friends are Republican, so I'm a very easygoing, very open-minded person. So I just, when I need to choose a party, okay, I'll just join them. And after I join them, I see something I like. I saw something I like. I saw something I don't like. And my personality is I try to close one eye on the things I don't like, and I open another eye on the things I like. So I was survived pretty well until 2020. Now, actually, until 2016, when Donald Trump got elected. I really don't like that person. I think he's a shame. Unfortunately, he got elected, and he was the party nominee. And in 2012, in 2020, I decided not to run for re-election and decided to run for Congress. And then eventually, I will need to face one question. I faced that question from all the party members, almost all the party members. Sam, do you support Donald Trump? I did not want to lie, but I cannot tell the truth either. because Donald Trump did got more than 60% of the support from Republicans. And so I have been living like that. I knew I will win the party nominate, but I just feel very uncomfortable that I cannot tell the truth. And so eventually, when about 2 months close to the primary, I decide to tell the truth. I said no Donald Trump. And then immediately I got attacked from everywhere from the party. And so, well, if that's the case, I decide to open my another eye. I start to see the things I don't like. And I decide to switch to Democrat. Again, I came to Democrat. I see something I like. I saw something I like. I saw something I don't like. But fortunately, the things I don't like, I don't feel much. It's not Donald Trump. So, but the things I like it very much. And I also found out Democrat is more tolerant, and we are more open-minded, and we are more we are more accepting to difference. So that's why I think I'm going to stay. I'm not going to go back. But don't get me wrong. There are many good people in the Republican Party. Unfortunately, many of them are misled. So that's the major problem. So yeah, and I'm running a very low budget campaign, and since I was little, I has been taught, Sam Huang, you shouldn't be a politician. And I always do something people told me not to. And so my life is an uphill battle, even now. But I start to learn how to enjoy it. And of course, failure is not always not a good thing, but 就不是很 comfortable, not very comfortable. But well, anyway, I think I take it easy. So, and right now I'm still the candidate who have the most name recognition, and I'm probably also the most respected candidate. But I probably have the least money to run for this campaign. So we'll see how it goes. I'm happy to answer any question that you may have. Hopefully I don't use too much of your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam, for telling us your inspiring story. Persistence and listening to your conscience about what is right, what is wrong, and going with your values is a story we've heard from many people tonight, and you certainly demonstrated. We wish you success in your race. Our final guest speaker tonight is Becca DeFelice, who is the candidate for Texas House District 121. Becca Moyer DeFelice is a Korean-American working mom running in this House district to be the first AAPI Democratic woman elected to the Texas legislature. She's a transracial adoptee who grew up on a farm in rural Pennsylvania, and she got involved in politics through activism. She served as a local and state leader for 6 years, and she's running because she believes that her daughter and every Texan and in House District 121 deserve to have a leader who cares enough to take a stand for education, safety, and health of their community. Becca?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak with y'all, and also for staying on so long to hang out with me just for this minute. I promise I'll be quick. Like C said, my name is Becca Moyer DeFelice. I'm running in House District 121 in San Antonio. This is a moderate district. It is a top pickup seat for Democrats here in Texas. So essentially, we have the best opportunity that we have had in decades to turn this seat from Republican to Democrat. I spent 6 years driving across this state, organizing communities, faith leaders, educators, and families to advocate for better gun laws with an organization called Moms Demand Action. And I got involved with that organization because I am a mom. I'm not a politician. I am a parent who cares deeply about her community. I spent 6 years with this organization, knocking on doors and going up to the legislature. My daughter went with me. So at 6, she did her first ledge visit. She got to visit a state senator who pushed her around in his rolling office chair. And she's pretty much grown up going to the Capitol with me. One of her favorite things to do is to walk through the basement of the extension of the Texas State Capitol. If you walk down those hallways, there are the roster photos of every state legislative body that has served our state. And as she got older, she started to look at those photos and she would say, I see the first woman. I see the first person who isn't a white man. I see the first. You have to walk to 1965 to see the first Asian American representative. He served 1 term. And then you have to walk until 2003 to see the next. The state of Texas has 1.8 million Asian Americans. We have only ever had 5 Asian American representatives in our legislature. It's time for that to change. And we know that we can change it this cycle. Here's the thing. My district looks a lot like Andy Kim's district. It is a moderate district that is primarily Caucasian, that is ready and thirsty for change. And that's what we're going to give them. Because those working families know 2 things. They need somebody who is going to fight for the values that they hold, for the issues that they care about, for their children, for their seniors. That is what is most important to them. The other thing that they know is that Asian American women can win races. And they know we're tough, right? We're indestructible. We have had so much opportunity to excel in this country, but this country has also tried to grind us under its heel. And it has not succeeded. We have gone on to raise families, to make history, to do our jobs. And now our job is to save the democracy of this nation. Texas is the 2nd largest electorate in this country. If we give it over to Republican extremists, if we don't fight back, we will lose our democracy. And that's why I'm asking all of you to, in whatever way you can, support my race, to share it on social media, to donate if you are able to make phone calls or texts. Because we know that in this moment, not only can we make history for our community, for our kids, we will also be able to take that really vital step towards saving democracy. So I'm gonna put my information in the chat. Please feel free to reach out. That is my actual cell phone number. Call me anytime. If it's after like 2 a.m., I might not answer. If it's before, say 6, I might not answer it, but I will definitely get back to you. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Becca. And thank you for allowing us to hear your inspiring story tonight. And we're lucky to have you join us as our final speaker for the evening. I want to thank all of the candidates again for taking time out of their very busy campaign and work schedules to attend tonight's event. And good luck on all your races. Unfortunately, I don't think we have time for questions. They're a little bit over, but I think that it's important for us to be here, to be part of the democratic process so that we can get a deeper understanding of it and so that we can be represented in it. So as we close our event tonight, I want to introduce our AADC Vice Chair, Paul Zhu, for closing remarks. Paul joined Chinese Americans for Hillary around 2015 and organized and led local Chinese Americans to support Democratic candidates in the DC, Maryland, Virginia areas. He campaigned in 2018 for the election of Governor Ralph Northam and the election of Senator Tim Kaine in Virginia. And he worked for the election of Delegate Lily Chi to the Maryland House of Delegates. In 2019, he campaigned for Andrew Yang, and in 2020, he joined Chinese Americans for Biden to help in the successful election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. He attended the DNC APEC meetings to also discuss how to defeat fake news in WeChat. Paul?
Yes, hi, everybody. Thanks for introduction. My name is Paul Zhu. This is such a successful kickoff meeting. Thanks to all speakers, organizers, and attendants. 2022 midterm election is another crucial election. Why is this election crucial? Look at the current Republican Party. Trump completely hijacked GOP by using his big lies, deceptions, and threats. He turned the Republican Party into a Trump party. Right-wing GOP are making many laws at the local level that suppress voters, and they are going to reject elections that they cannot win by votes. This put our democracy in grave danger. Right-wing racist group that the GOP supports are engaging in organized terrorist acts in the United States. Their support of gun proliferation is slaughtering our children in schools. They are about to deprive women of their reproductive rights. They allow Putin and other overseas non-democratic forces to explore the free speech internet environment in the United States to use a flood of disinformation to deceive American voters. Recent poll indicates that over 50% of people believe American democracy will not exist in the future. Same amount of people even worry that America will be in civil war. We never had this concern when we come to US for better life and for freedom. This concern of America's future is caused by the Trump party. The only way we can prevent decades of American is to use our votes to defeat this party. We can go out to help our candidates of the Democrat Party in federal, state, and local level. We can donate, go out to canvassing, write postal cards, drive out votes, do phone banking. We did a lot of such works in 2016, 2018, and 2020. We helped Biden to win the White House. We helped the Democrat Party to overtake the House and the Senate. We helped many local Democrats candidates to win. We will, and we can do the same this time to protect our democracy and to protect the future of the country for us and for our future generations. Thank you all.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you everyone again for attending tonight's event. The AADC information has been placed in the chat, and we hope that you can join us in volunteering and helping out all these wonderful candidates that we've met tonight. A parting thought I wanted to leave you. Our democracy is a beautiful patchwork of different cultures, of which the AAPI community is an important and integral part. All of our guests tonight, as well as AADC, are from the API community and chose to step into civic engagement. We'll need to overcome all kinds of challenges. As former President Theodore Roosevelt once remarked, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena. We thank all of our guest speakers tonight for stepping into the arena and hope that more people will join them and start to or continue to participate in our democracy. Thank you and have a good night, everyone.